Hello, home fries. What's up? What's up, Buttercup? How are you this evening? It is just a few minutes after 9 o'clock. I apologize for being a couple minutes late, but if I wasn't, I'd have to apologize for being on time because wouldn't that throw everybody off? Um, how are you guys today? It is the 22nd of July. It's Tuesday. It's a beautiful day here in the southwest region of Ohio where I live. Absolutely beautiful day. And why do my arms look all uneven? I am not kidding you. Stop. Stop with the crazy camera. There we go. Okay. Just when I thought I was getting it. I mean, the freaking lights, camera action, Jackson. Anyway, let's just get rolling. I have so much I want to cover and I don't want to be on for too long. Please hit your like button. Everything I say is simply my opinion. I hope to start a conversation. I hope to figure out how to make this thing work. And hope to open up a discussion. Learn something, be educational. All my videos are made for YouTube. It's an infotainment platform. Please like, subscribe, share, and turn on your notification bell to ring. And commenting in the live chat or comments if you're watching on the replay crew is always much appreciated. The interaction is really good for the algorithm. So thanks for being here. Before I talk too much about other stuff, I wanted to read you an article that I have been meaning to read you for a couple of days. So let me see if I can pull it up real quick. It's actually in the description already. So and I might change the thumbnail because I'm not sure what's going on with that thumbnail. I'm thinking it's AI. But I don't know. So until I know what it is, I'm thinking it's not a good idea to use it. So in case I do change it, what it is right now is a picture of our president with 5 cute young blonde girls. And I guess I'll just do research to find out what it is. They look like clones. It might be like a cheerleading squad or something. I don't know. Maybe it's one of his little modeling gigs. And maybe it's AI. I'm not sure. And I usually like to know these things. So like I said, I might switch that out. But in the meantime, we're just going to get rolling with this. And how am I going to do that? There we go. There's so much crazy stuff going on right now today. I'm sure you know. And rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. That's very sad. Man, I got to prepare myself for when that happens with some people that I don't even want to consider that could happen with, like Neil Young, Mick Jagger, Joni Mitchell. Say it ain't so. Ricky Lee Jones. No, those people can never, ever pass away. They're not mortal. Right? Okay, so here's the article. This is a California couple investigated for having 21 surrogate babies. And I want to say 18 of the 21 were under 3 years old. So, I was going to try to read you an article about it. Let me see. It's not really working. It's just unbelievable, isn't it? But I think that it's relevant because, as I've said again and again, oh, Anna Bees, hey, dear, how are you? It's so nice to see you. I'm sad about Ozzy. I just watched him on TV doing his last show. He was kind of like a rock star, right? kind of. But I mean, he was like the reality TV rock star. He completely rocked it. So I'll read you what AI Overview says first, and then maybe I'll read you an article. News outlets, have you heard about this, Annabise? News outlets recently reported the removal of 21 children, many of whom were born via surrogate, from the home of Sylvia Zhang and a name that I'm not even going to try to pronounce, in Arcadia, California. This occurred after a 2-month-old child under their care was hospitalized with a traumatic head injury. Police arrested the couple on suspicion of felony child endangerment and neglect, and a nanny employed by the couple is wanted in connection with the abuse. All 21 children ranged in age from 2 months to 13 years old, mostly between 1 and 3. So like I said, I think about 18 of the kids are 3 and under. But so the youngest was 2 months old. That's the one that had the head injury. And the oldest is 13. And maybe not all of them were born surrogate, but obviously if they have 18 that are all under the age of 3, those are the ones born surrogate, most likely. I mean, maybe not all of the babies in that age range, but is this so crazy, Annabise? So the children were placed in protective custody. Several women who served as surrogates for the couple have come forward, alleging they were misled about the couple's intentions and the existence of other surrogates. One surrogate, Kyla Elliott, is seeking to gain custody of the child she birthed for the couple, according to NBC News. The investigation is ongoing and involves both local and federal authorities, including the FBI. The case has highlighted the complexities and lack of federal regulation in the surrogacy industry. It's really a human trafficking industry, not always. I mean, some people are doing surrogacy simply to grow their family because they've got reproductive issues, right? But it so quickly bends and leans directly into trafficking. So now 2 of the surrogates speak out. Let me see about this article. This is ABC News from 4 days ago. Los Angeles, a woman who almost served as a surrogate for a Southern California couple, now under investigation by authorities, said she backed out after the couple asked her if any of her friends would like to carry a child for them too. Whoa. Yeah, red flag, honey. I saw something about this, but I didn't click on it. Yeah, and I wanted to thank you again for bringing to my attention yesterday about the trigger warning, the bodies of refugees, immigrants washing up on shore, I think in Spain, right? I think from the information that I found, it was like 5 so far, and with their hands and feet shackled. That's terrifying. And I guess this has been going on for a few months. So how did I not know about this? I mean, I'm scanning the news all the time. I guess it's just my freaking algorithm. Got to get outside of my algorithm, huh? Wow, big red flag. Yeah, do you have any friends? I mean, it sounds like Jeffrey Epstein, right? And I believe that Pamela Bondi is interviewing Ghislaine right now, and they're going to strike up a deal where Ghislaine is going to say, Donnie's squeaky clean, and I didn't do nothing, and it's going to backfire. So don't worry. Nobody's going to buy their crap. No one's going to buy what they're selling. Wow, big red flag. Okay, let me highlight that since I have my highlightability arrow. It's always exciting. Pin message. And I wanted to apologize to you for that situation in the chat yesterday. I'm so glad that BoobTube and all of us were able just to resolve the situation quickly. You know, like I said, with trolls, and, you know, the person that did that doesn't have to remain a troll. You know, if they want to like come to me and apologize or email me or anything, I'm totally open. But until they do, no, 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 that crap ain't gonna fly here, honey. You can take it somewhere else. You can just keep on walking with that crap. That was hideous. I'm sorry that she lashed out at you like that, and I would imagine that it's something that you've learned to deal with. I don't know. I do not know. Okay. The request, as well as conflicting information she was getting, left the woman Esperanza unnerved, and she decided not to sign a surrogacy contract with Sylvia Zhang, who offered her $60,000. That's not that much for a surrogate baby in California. I would think like 10 times that, but you're not supposed to pay somebody. You can just buy them a house or something, right? You can give them gifts that aren't related to the surrogacy, as far as I know. I mean, maybe you can pay them some money, but there's a cap on it. I'm not sure. Anyway, like I said, it just goes sideways really quick. Esperanza spoke to the Associate Press on the condition that her last name not be used because she has not shared her surrogacy experience publicly. And I have a good friend who actually has been a surrogate twice, and she's got 5 of her own kids. So, you know, she's a midwife and she's just loves the babies. Loves the babies. Zhang, 38, and her husband, 65. That's nice. That is not quite as much of an age difference as Caroline with a K. KK. I'm just gonna quit saying that, but not yet. And her hubby, who is 59 or 60, and she is 27. I think she turns 28 in about a month. And I'm not sure his birthday. I think they might have the same birthday. I think her birthday is August 24th. So she's 27 now. Her billionaire husband is either 59 or 60. So that's a lot of years difference, right? Anybody know math? Anybody have a degree in numbers? Um, let's see. I think that's like 32-ish, right? So this couple is way under that, 38. So let's just say she's 40. That would be 25-year age difference, 26, 27. So this is 5 years less of an age difference than the lying liar Caroline and her super old husband, who they said they got married last December, just over like a year and a half ago. And then the baby is about to turn 1, or actually just did turn 1, like July 10th. And then it turned out that they didn't get married in December. They got engaged in December. And then they say that they got married in January. But, you know, they were trying to like do some fuzzy math so that nobody would figure out that they had premarital relations or something. I don't know. Anyway, it just makes me question if they're even actually married. Because, you know, when you lie, then you can't trust anything these lying liars say. But don't we love it when they out themselves constantly? Let's see. I think they just started releasing it, or maybe I'm not in the right algorithm too. Oh, about the immigrants. Yeah. Thank you, Jazz. I was just trying to explain that my family never crossed a border, and I am American in case something happens to me. You never know. Absolutely. I mean, like I said, even with Caucasian white skin and all that crap, I don't think any of us are safe from this crap. But yeah, especially if, you know, we don't have that European look like, you know, like Adolf enjoyed. The lily white skin, the blonde hair, blue eyes. I mean, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. Disgusting. Being a surrogate is a wonderful thing to do for someone. I couldn't do it. but it's a big gift. So, Anna Bees, I just found out yesterday that there is more government money invested right now in those homes for young pregnant women that are confused and don't know what to do. Those have stepped up their game big time, and that is so scary to me. That's like back in the, what was it, the 40s, where they were paying poor people to have babies. They were like buying their babies from them, something like that. Anyway, can't keep up with the crazy. Surrogacy. Wait, where were we? Oh, I was right at the top here. With the age difference, 38 and 65. They are now the target of an investigation by local and federal authorities after their infant child was taken to the hospital with a traumatic head injury in May. Authorities have since taken 21 children from the couple's custody, and I wonder how many surrogates they have pregnant right now. Many of whom were born by surrogates, said Lieutenant Colin Cialdo, of the Arcadia Police Department near Los Angeles. Surrogacy is an agreement between parties for a woman to become pregnant, typically through an embryo transfer, and deliver a baby for the intended person or couple to raise. So yeah, this is a lot of in vitro fertilization. Not always. Sometimes they do it the old-fashioned way, which, yeah, that's wild. But I think a lot of them do the test tube baby thing, the Petri dish. So when you do that, typically you try to implant 3 embryos because each one has like a 30% chance of making it, which is why you get doubles, twins and triplets so often these days. And because sometimes doctors and people will decide to do more than just 3. Like maybe they'll do 4 or 5, but then they'll have triplets. But sometimes they're going to just do 3 and have triplets, right? And then you've got like Octomom. We won't get into that crap. Anyway, we'll just keep going with this. And yeah, not just with surrogacy, but with in vitro fertilization for couples with fertility issues as well. So typically an embryo transfer and deliver a baby for the intended person or couple to raise. The children range in age from 2 months to 13 years, with most between 1 and 3. Federal authorities' role in investigation, Esperanza is one of at least 8 women who say they were aggressively pursued by the couple to serve as surrogates. The women, many of whom were first-time surrogates, say that they were given misleading or incomplete information about the couple's family situation and intentions. Some, like Esperanza, did not move forward with carrying a child for the couple. Imagine what they were planning to do with these babies. Like, I'm thinking traffic them. Like, why would you want 18 children between the ages of 2 months and 3 years? That's insane. Maybe selling them. Who knows? It's absolutely insane. I'll just keep using that word. It's really disgusting. It's way beyond either of those, actually. Let's see. Some, like Esperanza, did not move forward with carrying a child for the couple. Others who did, Kyla Elliott, is now trying to get custody of a baby she birthed in March for the couple. Arcadia police say the FBI is involved in the investigation over whether the couple misled surrogates around the country. I bet they did like Craigslist and stuff like that, Facebook. Who knows? The dark web. Back page. The FBI has not confirmed its investigation. Elliott said she was interviewed by the FBI at the end of May. Elliott worked through a business called Mark Surrogacy, according to the contract she signed and shared with the Associated Press. California state records show a company called Mark Surrogacy Investments, LLC, registered at the company's Arcadia home until this June. Elliott's contract listed an El Monte address for the company. An Associated Press reporter visited that location Thursday and did not find anyone who recognized the names of the couple or Mark Surrogacy. Zhang did not respond to phone calls and emails seeking comment. Lawyers for Mark Surrogacy did not respond to emails seeking comment, nor did a fertility clinic involved in the embryo transfer. In social media posts, other women who say they served as surrogates for Zhang and Xuan, Xuan, outlined suspicious actions, including the couple not fulfilling payment obligations and weren't present for the children's births. Oh, creepy, crazy. Many women contacted by the AP did not respond or said they would only speak after securing an attorney. Right, because if they're like selling their babies, basically, they've got no leg to stand on. It's sort of like when a rug deal goes bad. Like, you can't go to the police and say, these people stole my rugs. These people stole my rug money. What do I do? Arrest them. Oh, and me. Let's see. Injured infant draws concern. Let me see how much longer this is. It's kind of long, but since we're already in it, let me just catch up with you real quick. I think it was in Ireland that the nuns ran a place for unwed pregnant women. Right now, they are looking for the bodies of infants that they think were buried on the grounds. I think you are right, Jazz. Dang. People are so depraved. And nuns. Wait, what happened? Cancel that. Wait, please pinned message. Let's see. Injured infant draws concern. The couple were arrested in May after the hospital reported that their 2-month-old infant had a traumatic head injury, the result of a nanny at the home violently shaking the baby, according to Arcadia Police. Shaken baby syndrome. This is terrible. Arcadia Police did not file charges at the time in order to finish a full investigation, Cialdo said. The detectives were looking into possible child abuse charges and anticipated presenting a case in a few weeks. I'm curious if you're at work, my dear. You don't have to say. I'm not trying to incriminate you or nothing. Not trying to rat you out. Just curious. If you feel like sharing, but don't worry about it if you don't. Just ignore me. Let's see. Arcadia Police did not file charges at the time in order to finish a full investigation. I think I read this already. Cialdo said, and the detectives were looking into possible child abuse charges and anticipated presenting a case in a few weeks. The couple told police that they wanted a large family, quote unquote, and produced what appeared to be legitimate birth certificates, including some from outside California, that list Zhang as the mother of the children. Cialdo said Xuan was listed as the father on at least some of the birth certificates, Cialdo said. So the 32-year-old mother and the 65-year-old father. Potential surrogate backs out. Esperanza's dealings with Zhang began in 2023. She had posted in a Facebook group for people interested in surrogacy and received a message from Zhang. Zhang said she and her partner already had an 8-year-old daughter in China, but were having fertility issues. Zhang said she was working with a surrogate who was already pregnant, but that she wanted, quote, twins, so she was pursuing a second surrogate. But Esperanza said things started to feel amiss after Zhang asked if she had any friends who also wanted to be surrogates. Yeah, I want triplets. I mean quadruplets. I mean octuplets. Oh, you're not. You're at home. You're chilling. She said that she's a realtor in Arcadia, and that's how she has a lot of money and was able to afford a lot of surrogates at the time, Esperanza said. I bet she's lying about that, too. I bet the guy she married had money, which is why she's with him when he's more than twice her age, just like Caroline with a K. Esperanza backed out of the surrogacy after the lawyer for the couple abruptly hung up on her while discussing the contract. She said the document said the couple would implant 2 embryos instead of 1, and the section requiring background information on the couple was cut out. The couple became angry when she decided not to move forward. Oh, creepy AF. Esperanza showed text messages to the AP that showed Zhang offering $3,000 more if she agreed to keep going, and another $2,000 bonus after a fetal heartbeat is detected. Surrogate who wants custody of child. Elliot gave birth to a baby girl in March, so this is probably the one with the head injury. She chose to be a surrogate because she, quote, really wanted to give somebody a family, end quote. The Texas woman began the process when Mark Surrogacy reached out to her directly on Facebook. She signed a contract listing Zhuang and Zhang as the intended parents. The contract said Elliot would receive $65,000 in a series of payments by the end of her 16th gestational week. Elliot became wary when early in the pregnancy she flew to California to meet the couple, and only Juan showed up. That's Xuan. I'm just guessing that Juan is how you might say it. As the process went on, Elliot had almost no direct contact with the Zhuan and Zhang, which is uncommon in surrogacy. Most of the messaging was through texts and emails with representatives from the agency who discouraged her from reaching out to Zhang. The agency was always like, oh, they're very busy people, she said, but aren't they the agency? So they're pretending that they're not themselves, maybe. When she learned that the couple had at least 2 other surrogates having babies for them, she was told by the agency they just want a big family. Elliot flew to California for the embryo transfer, which was done at Western Fertility Institute in Los Angeles. Remember the fertility clinic that got bombed like a couple of months ago in Palm Springs? It's so easy to forget these things when there's literally bombs exploding everywhere and floods and things falling out of the sky, bodies washing up on shore. Okay. But we're going to talk about some good news too. Like a lot of people are stepping forward. I think Maria Farmer was interviewed today, maybe on the Today Show. She's amazing. She's absolutely amazing. I'll put a link to the interview in the description, which was done at Western Fertility Institute in Los Angeles. The clinic declined to comment. Let's see. I'm going to keep reading this just because it's a baby. It's a baby. I can't just like leave the story hanging. I don't think it's too much longer. Let's see. Let's see what you're saying up here. Yes, I'm just watching you. Or I should say listening to you. Watching you sounds creepy. LOL. No, please watch me. I got all these cool lights and stuff. And, you know, I put makeup on and everything. I mean, just eyeliner and lip tint. But, you know, that's a big deal for me. Let's see. Yes, I remember that I had forgotten about it. Maria Farmer is amazing. She is so amazing. And I heard her say in the interview that she has had 2 cancer events. She blamed directly on the 30 years that she's been fighting this crap. And I had wondered about that. I had wondered if the stress brought that on. I think it was brain cancer both times, but I'm not 100% sure. But I just thought it was interesting that she attributed it to the bullshit. She's been fighting this for 30 years. She first went to police in 1996. She went to the local police in New York. She went to the FBI because something's happened in Ohio, but she was living in New York City, because she was going to art school there. She's an amazing artist. Anyway, let me keep reading this so I'm not like going in 12 directions at once, you know. Our bodies hold our trauma. Yeah. The body is the temple of the soul, huh? So after handing Elliot, no, wait. Neither parent were there for Elliot's labor or delivery, and only Zhang showed up a few hours after the baby was born. The woman didn't seem very connected with the child. She kind of barely looked at her, Elliot said. Oh, how creepy. I mean, it's such an emotional experience for anyone to be having a baby. And I think some people don't realize how connected they're going to feel to that baby until the baby is born. I mean, it's just magical. My husband was like that. He had no idea. Like, he just was like, he wanted to have kids, but he had no idea. Like, he was just like, it was like electric. He was just on fire. And he's been such a great dad ever since. Okay, after handling Elliot $2,000 in cash and giving 3 of her family members in the room $200 each, the woman left with the baby girl. How bizarre. That's really odd to me. Now Elliot wants custody of the girl and says she just hopes all of the babies are safe. When the news first broke about the couple, she confronted Zhang on the phone and over text. In text messages Elliot showed to the Associated Press, Zhang wrote, all the babies really important in our life. All the babies really important in our life. And so that's the whole article. My husband was a great dad too. Yeah, I mean, my husband was funny because he just, he wasn't so sure about the whole thing. And then the second that baby was born, he was just like a new person. Like he was like, okay, yeah, I guess we'll have kids. That's what people do, kind of thing. And then as soon as the birth, it was really cute, but I just kind of laughed at him. I was like, honey, I didn't think you were that excited about having kids. And he was like, but then I was holding her. I mean, he's watching. He's right there helping the doctor. Like, he cut the umbilical cord. Ugh, I couldn't do that. That's gross. Okay. So let me try to outline some of these notes because I have so much good information, but such a bad brain. And I don't want to miss too much because I forget sometimes I forget the most important things that I'm trying to discuss with you guys, and that drives me nuts. So let me see if I can look at the other links that I put in there. Just want to see what they are. And it's like thinking about it. It's thinking about showing me the links. Come on. Well, if you're not going to decide, then I'm going to read my other notes. AI. How weird. Oh, because it wants to show me an ad? No, thank you. Okay, so here is... I already have a video about that. That's the first one. And then I've got the CNN video about... yeah, this is the one with Maria Farmer. This is the brand new one. This is CNN. And it's such a great interview. She just presents so well. She's very professional. She's very organized in her thought process and storytelling. So it's phenomenal. And I would play it for you for a minute, but I would think that YouTube is just being really weird about everything. So there's another deposition that the night before the deposition, Donnie did something really wild to get the whole thing canceled, the whole case thrown out. And I have to have more clarity about what case that was. But I was like, that supports my theory that his ex-wife falling down the stairs the day before 3-week-long depositions were scheduled to start the next day for him, his son, and one of his sons, and his daughter. One of his daughters. I mean, he acts like that's his only daughter, but he's got 2? Yeah. He's got the daughter and then the spare, right? I mean, that's a horrible thing to say, but isn't that how he treats her? And I'm sure she knows that she's a fifth wheel. She's kind of pathetic. My husband was a great dad too. So sad. My first delivery was terrible. Over 10-pound baby. Mine was over 10 pounds also. 10.7. How much was yours? 10 what? Mine was 10 pounds, 7 ounces. My husband took off with the doctors and nurses because they had to resuscitate her. I was alone with one doctor and he yelled for help because I was hemorrhaging. Oh dear, honey. I really think Ivana passing was sus. It's very sus. And I'm really happy that other people are talking about it now too. And a lot of this stuff that I have been talking about for a while, it seems like some of these big channels are talking about it and acting like it's brand new. And I'm not accusing them of watching my channel because I'm sure they don't. But, it's just like, I'm just over here talking with my friend Anna and a few others that care to get involved sometimes. And it's just hard. It's hard to keep the momentum. It really is. Like, I love doing this. I just feel like I've been shadow banned so severely that it's weighing on me. It's weighing on me because I think I've been like extra shadow banned just recently because of all the Trumpster fire crap. That's what I think. So, it was bad enough with the Kylie Rodney shadowing and some of the other cases, shadow banning. But I think that it's really been stepped up a notch. I mean, what? Me and Stephen Colbert, right? But, if that is indeed what's happening, and I don't know that it is, it could just be that my numbers are down. It's good to keep an open mind, but if that's what's happening, then that's just good information, right? That why would anybody shadow ban me if my information was just not interesting and not accurate? 10 pounds, 13.5 ounces. I am so sorry, honey. But yeah, the good thing about having the giant babies is mine, they all slept like 10 hours a night starting by the time they were like a week old. Because they can eat more mommy milk and sleep longer. Because, basically babies wake up because they're hungry. So, that's hard getting woken up all the time. People that haven't had a baby don't know how awful that is. It's the worst. It is the worst. Yes, I heard someone else talking about it too. I think you are being shadow banned too. Well, again, like if I am, then for that I can thank them for them thinking that I have something intelligent to say. Where's Elon? I think he's cooking something up. Man, it is hilarious when I look at my arms and my sleeves are equal, but if I turn one way or the other, then it just looks like they're like completely different lengths. The damn camera is such a illusion. She would only drink 2 ounces and sleep 2 hours around the clock. Dang, girl, you really had it rough. You really had it rough. So yeah, don't you think Elon's probably cooking up something big and scary for his ex-friend Donnie? Oh, I think he is. And I think Donnie knows it. And I think, so they're trying to like shut down the government a little bit early until after Labor Day. Like they were trying to shut it down, I think like today or tomorrow. Mike Johnson was like, yeah, we're just going to like go for our summer recess early because, we're scared. Yeah, that's not making you look like you're chicken shit at all. And then I think Pamela Blondie was going to be meeting up with Ghislaine. The attorneys are all involved. Ghislaine's attorney. Oh my God, that Dershowitz dirtbag. He is evil. You can tell by just looking at him. But he is the slimiest, most slitheriest, lying sack of crap. He is just as bad as Little E. He was Little E's attorney. He is gross, gross, gross. So I saw an interview with him today where he was like, well, yeah, if there are indeed people that are guilty, then they should be prosecuted. And if there's people that are accusing people of being guilty that aren't getting prosecuted, then those people should get prosecuted. Okay, so that means if you have an attorney, if you can afford an attorney that can protect you and try to make you look not guilty, then the person who was pressing those charges will go to jail for accusing you. That's pretty standard how those MFs operate. Like, that's the first thing they do is try to threaten you, like, with libel. And, it's not libel if it's true. Libel and slander are only if it's a lie. If you make these accusations like Virginia Giuffre did with him, and then she said, I might have mistaken him for someone else. So then she's not saying I lied, but he's off the hook. I might have mistaken him for someone else. Hey, I'm on live. Okay, I hang it up, girl. I hang it up, girl. So where was I? Yeah, but it's scary enough for victims to come forward, but then for a douchebag like him, douchebag like Dershowitz, dirtbag douchebag Dershowitz. There you go, triple D, like the big beautiful bill, dirty douchebag Dershowitz. In my humble conspiracy theory opinion, allegedly, yeah, I'm allowed to have an opinion about the sack of crap douchebag. He's so gross. He's a freaking monster. I can tell by looking at him when he's speaking. He is like the devil as far as I'm concerned. But he has a long resume of teaching at Harvard. So he's got a lot of clout, unfortunately, because he's just sick. So Virginia and others, she's not the only one who made allegations against him. But my guess is that those who make allegations against him might end up offing themselves or getting scared and saying that they made it up and that they lied and that they might have misremembered and that they're not so sure, they might have mistaken him for someone else. So I was talking about that yesterday, how Virginia's exact quote was, I may have mistaken him for someone else. And he used those exact same words. When people use the exact same words, they giveth themselves away. So when detectives are interviewing suspects, like say there's a few suspects involved in a crime, they immediately take them into different rooms and they start getting their stories right away so that they can't, compare notes and try to like concoct a story if they haven't already. But if they're in these different rooms using the exact same words and the exact same phrase and telling the exact same sequence of events in the exact same chronological order, they've given themselves away. That happens all the freaking time. So Giuffre's words are the exact same as Dershowitz's words, meaning that they sat down together and said, this is the plan, this is what we will say, in my opinion. So that's Giuffre with Donnie Two Dolls will say, because she made many allegations against him, as did others. And she will say that she misremembered And the way she couches every single answer to every single question about Donnie Two Dolls is, I don't remember ever seeing him do anything. I don't remember ever seeing him at Mar-a-Lago. I don't remember ever seeing him at parties. Again, it's scripted. It's the same phrasing every freaking time. That's a giveaway. And for that, we can thank them. They just keep telling on themselves. Let's see. Oh, you're right. I hadn't thought about it. About that. I was just saying. I love how you call her Pamela Blondie. I don't think I'm the only one. Bond, James Bond. We should start calling her like 99, but that's from Get Smart. There's no like female spies in the Bond movies, are there? Call her Octopussy. Sorry. Trigger warning. That was the name of a Bond movie and the name of a punk rock band. Dang. And then there's that band, I think they're from Vladdy's country. They call themselves Pussy Riot. Have you heard of them? One of their band members got poisoned. I don't know if he survived. He did survive it initially. I don't know if he's still alive. Yeah. Crazy. Let's see. Little T is accusing President Obama of treason. Yes, he is. And don't you worry, Annabise. Obama has this one in the bag. I think we don't want to get overly confident because there's no guarantees. But, you know, if you're going to try to say that Trumpster Fire is playing 4D chess, I'm pretty sure that Obama's got many more D's than he does. So not to worry. I mean, he's a lawyer. He's a trained attorney, and he's ahead of the game. But yeah, it's really gross. In that video that he put up of Obama getting arrested, disgusting, absolutely disgusting. I mean, fake video for anybody who hasn't seen it. It's artificial intelligence. And it should be illegal to do that with a president because, like, it's bad enough to do that with a person that's not, like, an ex-president. But that is slander and libel, especially, you know, that they didn't get arrested. I mean, that's just, you're just trying to trash their reputation. You're trying to drag them through the mud. And the really crazy thing is there's a lot of people who won't realize that that is artificial intelligence. They'll be like, oh my God, he got arrested. He's gross. All of them are, yeah, aren't they? Or falling downstairs. Right. Or hanging themselves about Big E, waiting to come out with something big. Oh, yeah, that. I know, because he's so quiet. It's like the calm before the storm. No, I haven't heard of that band. Yes, I saw that stupid AI video. Yeah, it's and then with the freaking YMCA movie playing, it's just like Donnie is obsessed with that song because it makes him feel so good about his manly, being a man's man, right? In every sense of the term. So now Donnie is trying to accuse the Democrats of trying to steal the election. And he specifically said obfuscate the election. So again, every accusation is a confession. So I think it's getting closer to that maybe being found out. Pennsylvania was unwilling to submit their results to the Election Truth Alliance, which is really odd. It kind of makes it seem like they have something to hide because, you know, we live in a democracy, and I think that that's like a public records request that is a requirement. I don't know. But let me get back to Donnie, because his big downfall right now, Anna, and you probably know this from your profession and I would imagine that you've had a lot of legal stuff with medical stuff, but legalese is that you never say never, you never say always. You never say, I've never been to that house. Unless you're really sure you've never been there. I mean, but just in case maybe somebody looked like you was there and it's easy for them to say, well, that's you. You can say, I'm pretty sure I've never been to that house. You can leave the door open with something like that. So you don't say never and you don't say always. You couch those phrases carefully. So Donnie Toodles has been saying never a lot because he's above the laws and the rules and he can do whatever he wants. It doesn't matter because, he's all that in a bag of chips. But when he said that he's never drawn, right? He's never written a picture. He's never written a drawing. I like to say drawing. Who in the world has never drawn? I mean, even if you're not an artist, you've never drawn a stick figure? Really? Okay. He said that he was never at Little E's office. This is like the Leona Helmsley office that Maria Farmer tells her story about in the interview that I linked in the description. And I think that interview is just like from early this morning. So maybe it wasn't taped this morning, but I think it was. I think it was taped this morning. Anyway, she's talking about going to her boss's office, that he got a hold of her kind of late in the evening. She didn't have money to take the subway or cab, so she jogged over to the office. So she's wearing shorts, and I think she's maybe 25 at the oldest at this point, early in her employment with him. And I don't think she even knew what she was there for, but dumpster fire came in and looked at her legs. She said that he was looking at her, so it was like just lecherously, and that it was really making her uncomfortable. And then Little E said something like, she's not for you. And he said, oh, you look like you're 16. Kind of indicating that he might be expecting that there's a 16-year-old there for him. But it was a very awkward exchange. Like, she just thought he was so rude and like the worst social skills imaginable, right? I mean, he's a freaking predator on the prowl hunting his prey, and he's having to interact with it, So no, not good social skills, because this is what he calls a social life. When he said that Little E really enjoys his social life, that's not a social life. Just because you're exchanging words with your prey, that does not constitute a social life. And let me just add on that how freaking pathetic it is that this man, our freaking president, who's a year shy of being 80 years old, the best friend that he's ever had is the guy, the pedo that was found deceased in his jail cell when he was in charge and William Barr was in charge. He was the AG. And his good buddy Bannon, kind of the architect of the MAGA movement, was hired to help Little E rehabilitate his reputation for when he got out of jail, meaning Bannon had a lot of access to him, meaning he could have said, hey, I'm going to come speak with you late tonight in your cell. Cool. Or maybe he would just surprise show up. I don't know. Anyway, let me stay caught up with you, dear. Yeah, he doesn't realize it's a gay anthem. It is such a gay anthem. And you and I
both of us, I think, have plenty of gay friends and family and could not, we could care less someone's preference for gender so long as they're good people, right? I mean, I just want to say it's nothing homophobic about it. It's like gay people will laugh about it too. That, yeah, it's the freaking gay anthem. I mean, look at the Village People with their mustaches and their suspenders and their chaps. The chaps. Like, did he not notice the chaps? And Annabee says, yes, I do. Yeah, and I just want to like be sure that people know that when I'm making fun of his stupidity with that, it's like, dude, just deal with it. So there's nothing wrong with it. Just deal with it. But no, why don't you just blow up the freaking world instead and violate youngsters because you have such self-loathing of who you're actually interested in? Gross. So back to my thing. Trumpster Fire said he's never been to Little E's office. Okay, you're best friends for 10 or 15 years. You've never been to his office. Don't believe you. But again, saying never. So if anyone has any surveillance tape of him, if any witness says that they saw him, I mean, of course he'll say he's lying. He'll say that's not me. That's AI. He'll do a Scott Peterson. Wow, that guy looks just like me, huh? But yeah, he really screwed up with all of his nevers, and for that we can thank him. I mean, he's really hanging himself with all of this. He is so not able to keep his cool. The more he just goes completely nuts, spinning out of control, denying all the birthday card and everything. Just like, again, if he would just drop it, he probably could pull one of his Teflon maneuvers and have it all just go away. There's nothing homophobic about it. Yes. Okay. So how many more notes do I have? A lot. And I want to remind us all that here we are. It's just the 22nd of July. So, on the 4th of July. So 18 days ago. Yeah, 18 days ago. So 2.5 weeks ago, was that most hideous, catastrophic flood in Texas where way too many people lost their lives, where there was not adequate warning, where there was not adequate response. And to top it off, on that same day, the 4th of July, Donnie Toodles is signing his big blasphemous bill as planned. It's like, okay, there's a catastrophe, there's a crisis. You can like drop it. It's not going to go anywhere. I mean, actually it might have, right? Because everybody was hating it so much. But that is just awful. So the Helmsley Tower is where Little E's office was, that Maria Farmer jogged to, had this creepy interaction with Trump. I didn't finish the whole interaction. When he was staring at her legs and Little E said, "She's not for you." And he said to her, "Oh, I thought you were 16." And she said something like, "No, I'm not." And then I think at that moment or somewhere thereafter, that Little E kind of guided him to the next door, which is presumably where the 16-year-old may have been there for him. So even if she was there willingly, it's statutory if something like that happened. Which we all know all of the stories, and I mean, not just his victim stories, but his own stories. You just grab him by the freaking lug nut, right? The vajayjay. Just grab him by the vajayjay without even asking. Just start kissing him. I mean, his exact words. He has no control. He doesn't try to control himself. He just does whatever the F he wants. We've all heard stories like the person on the airplane who got moved to first class, who got seated next to him, and he wouldn't take his freaking grubby paws off of her. So she finally got up and went back to coach. And then he ran into her like a year later, and he said to her, I remember you. You're the see you next Tuesday from that airplane. Probably one of the few people that was ever able to reject him and get away from him. That's my guess. That is so scary to think about. You know, she's a full-grown woman, and this is in a public setting. We've heard so many stories from so many of his victims. So you've got E. Jean Carroll, whom he owes like $90 million from 2 lawsuits. The original lawsuit for the violating her in the dressing room, and then the defamatory lawsuit for saying that she lied. That one was like way more millions than the first one. I think the first one was like 5 million in punitive damages, and then the slander one I think was like 80 or 90 million in punitive damages. Anyway, now there's a photograph of her and her husband and Trumpster Fire, and I think Melania. That just surfaced a couple days ago. That's good, because he said he didn't know her, he'd never seen her, she's not his type, but then he was looking at that photograph. So maybe it didn't just surface. I think it was that same photograph of her with her husband, and it's Ivana. Ivana's in the picture. So maybe the videotape deposition has just surfaced recently. So he's looking at that photograph. Ivana, him, E. Jean Carroll, and E. Jean Carroll's husband. And he points to E. Jean Carroll and says, that's my wife, that's Marla. When he also had said in the trial, in the testimony, in his testimony, that E. Jean Carroll wasn't his type. And she was freaking hot stuff too. She was even more of a knockout than Ivana and Marla Maples. I mean, she was top shelf babe. But funny that he's kind of got the clue with Ivana being in the photo right next to her, and he still is like, that's my wife, that's Marla. It's like, dude, like, again, he's so disconnected from people and himself and the world. He just doesn't freaking care about anybody. Let me let a puppy dog in one sec. Come here, Coco. Come on. Come on. Okay, little one. I got the crazy ragamuffin too. I got 2 out of 3, but little ragamuffin has brought her bone to chew on, so maybe she'll be chill. They let you do it, little T. They've been letting rich, famous people do that for millions of years, according to him in that deposition. It's been like that for millions of years, or a million years, or something like that. Like, what a effing nut. Okay. So, what else? Okay, I'm so glad that I took a second to read this because I was like feeling bad for being silent for so long, Anna Bees. But I haven't said this in a long time, and I think it's a point that I need to hit home again because it's been a while, and I think that people really need to run with it. Like some of the big channels need to identify this and speak to this. I feel like the morning after Virginia Giuffre was found deceased. Okay, she was found deceased on April 25th, 10 days before the Diddy trial that started on May 5th. I think I have those days right. Anyway, pretty sure that that's right. April 25th. Let me just look in case I'm a month off, but I think Virginia Giuffre. It's GIUFFRE. So yeah, April 25th was the day she passed away. And 10 days later was when the Diddy trial started. So, you know, the Diddy trial had a lot to do with like Dershowitz and Trumpster Fire, who used to party with the man. His wife hung out with him too. And Little E hung out with him. Anyway, when Donnie Two Dolls was first interviewed about it right after it happened, it had not even been 24 hours. I think it was the very next morning. And I want to say that that was also Melania's birthday, right? Like they had just come back from the Pope's funeral. Let's see. Melania Trump. April 26th. Okay, so Virginia Giuffre passed away on the 25th. And then the 26th, it was the day, it was her 55th birthday, Melania's, and they had to go to, they didn't have to go, but they felt like they were invited or something to go to the Pope's funeral on Melania's 55th birthday. So Donnie Two Dolls is stopped on the tarmac by an investigative journalist who asked him something as simple as, do you have any thoughts on Virginia Giuffre, or have you heard about what happened to Virginia Giuffre? A question that was very vague, that didn't have any information in it. Like the question wasn't like, did you hear that Virginia Giuffre passed away? Even if it was that informative, which it wasn't, the fact that it just registered for him right away, he was just like, oh yeah, it's really sad. So the question was something to the effect of, do you have any thoughts about Virginia Giuffre? Oh yeah, that's really sad. Tragic. It's very sad for her and so many others like her. Okay, I think he gave himself away at jump. I think he should have pretended that he didn't know her name. He should have been like, who? Oh, okay. And what happened? But he knew exactly who she was. He'd already been fully briefed about what happened. I feel like he gave himself away. In my opinion, he should not have had a clue what that name, who that name was attached to. You know, because he wasn't even friends with Little E anymore when Little E was getting prosecuted for all that. And you know, he didn't really know Ghislaine that well. They just both lived near the beach, you know, West Palm Beach. And so, you know, he wishes her well, just like he'd wish you or me well, because you know how much he cares about us, right? Yes, he gives himself away every time. Every time. Again, for that we can thank him. But he's hanging himself with all of this scuttlebutt about the freaking birthday card, trying to pretend that he didn't write that birthday card. Because yeah, that birthday card is sus AF. It is eerie. It is ominous. It is creepy. It's creepy. Even if you didn't know that it was a guy who was going to be charged with all the things he was charged with. But in the things that the president wrote in that birthday card, it's pretty clear that that's what he's alluding to. Like, you know, may every day have a wonderful secret, you enigma. No one must know. No one must know. Like his hair. No one must know that he had hair plugs. No one must know. Okay. So what else do I want to include before I wrap up, my dear? Troublemakers. All of us people that want to keep talking about little E are just troublemakers, according to, I don't know, Caroline Levitt, Donnie Two Dolls, Mike, Magic Mike Johnson. Just troublemakers. It's like, no, you're the one who pumped up this thing for years, and you think you can just blow it off and then try to shame people for trying to get you to stick to your word. This man has never had to suffer the consequences of his actions his entire life, it seems. Is it just me, Annabes, or do you feel like he's going to be going to jail? Like, I know there's a lot of complications with people that hold that office can't really get charged with crimes and arrested and stuff like that. They can be held in contempt of court, though, and he's not ever, even though he's in contempt of court all the time. I just see him and all of these thugs that he surrounds himself with getting prison time in the end. I hope that's not just wishful thinking. I hope that's not just being optimistic, overly optimistic. I mean, it's good to be optimistic, but I want to be realistic. I don't want to be overly optimistic because, I mean, that's really what it comes down to is like they want to put everybody in jail that disagrees with them. They want to deport everyone that disagrees with them. They want to put everyone in Alligator Alcatraz or El Salvador or all these other crazy places. It's really sick. There's so much drama. There's so much hate. There's so that's what it is. It's all about the drama. It's the whole like reality TV show. I mean, you know, real life can be pretty boring, right? When you're just like paying your bills and doing your chores and just living a simple life, right? Like that Paris Hilton reality show with Richie. What was the little Richie girl's name that ended up becoming a bigger star than her? Her sidekick who ended up overshadowing her. Little Richie's adopted daughter. What was her name? Phone. Where'd you go? Damn, gravity. Gravity sucks. Brain's not working. Simple Life stars Paris Hilton and Richie. So close to being able to come up with it. It's driving me nuts. Nicole Richie, right? Did you put it in there yet? Nicole Richie. So yeah, that was like one of the first reality shows. And yeah, we've heard Trumpster Fire talk about how he'd like to do Nicole or actually Paris, sorry. And that he watched the tape of her, that sex tape. I'm pretty sure she was underage in the sex tape. Let me see. Let me see what Google A says. How old was Paris Hilton in her first sex tape that was released? Sorry. Trigger warning before I said that. She was 19. Okay, well, that's better than, I think Kardashian was 16. Let's see. How old was Kim Kardashian in her first sex tape? Oh, no, it says she was 23. Okay, well, maybe somebody was 16 in their sex tape, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. That could happen, right? Got to keep an open mind. Okay, so let me figure out what else I want to say before I wrap this one up. Oh, aren't you so glad the MLK files were released, Anna Bees? You know, it's so important to get that MLK stuff figured out right now. Like, we don't need to know anything about little E. What about MLK? Even though MLK's family didn't want any of this stuff circulating. But, oh, who cares about the victims, right? Who cares about those grieving? I mean, you never get over something like that. It's insanity. So, you know, we got the JFK files. What next? They're going to release like all the 9/11 monster files. I mean, the JFK and the MLK files are monster files, as are the E files. But man, anything to change the subject. So we're going to get Stephen Colbert fired. We're going to add sugar to the Coke, take out the corn syrup. We're going to get the racist names back for the sports teams, like the Washington Redskins. Dear Lord. Yeah. Anything to distract. Anything at all. And forgive me if I sound delusional. I'll just say it. But I just can't help but think that some of these fires, some of these floods, some of these aircraft crashes are also distractions. They're also fabricated. They're not real. They're street theater. And real people are losing their lives. That's what I believe is going on here. That is what I believe is going on here. Oh, yeah. Thank you for that comment. Anna B says he's so terrible. He said something about Lindsay Lohan. Right. And I think she was of age. I think she had like just turned 18. That was like in the Howard Stern interview. So he was like, oh, yeah, she's fair game. We can talk about her because she just turned 18 a minute ago. But, you know, I mean, he's basically admitting to like lusting after her for a very long time. And yeah, I mean, she's a child star. Most child stars, former child stars, are very vulnerable and very screwed up. What about that Justin Bieber video that just came out that seems like it's Titanic or something, or Bohemian Grove type of weirdness? A lot of this stuff is like that's sort of like the next layer that we don't get to. That, you know, we're just talking about the assaults, like it's there's no just about that. So I apologize for my phrasing. But what is the bigger picture? What is really going on here? A lot of these like freak offs and parties, if you want to call them parties, seem like they're ritualistic. So there was an element of that potentially with Kylie Rodney, who just happened to disappear from a party at the sanctuary. Like, what a weird name for a place in the woods to have a party that a teenager goes disappearing from. It sounds very much like a Blair Witch Project type of deal. And Silence of the Lambs and Lord of the Flies. Remember when Scammy said it was like Lord of the Flies out there? And she said it twice. She said it in 2 different interviews. And I believe that Kate Cunio said it too. I think that Scammy said it twice. Kate Cunio said it once. It was like Lord of the Flies. Again, I think that's all been scrubbed off the internet. And when things are scrubbed, that's good information to have. But if they did say it, both of them, and Scammy saying it twice, again, then maybe they scripted that. Maybe they were like, well, what are we going to tell people? We'll tell people it was like Lord of the Flies out there. Okay, yeah. And then when they tried telling that story and people were like, what? It didn't land as well as they thought it would. So they changed the subject. She was definitely running all of the 911 calls. Yeah. So yeah, the Titanic, the Bohemian Grove type of element with Kylie Rodney, and also the Titanic element with the Idaho 4. We haven't talked about Gabby Petito in a long time. You know, there's some overlap there with like the Fight Club stuff and the coming to find the missing young woman's remains in a Federal Reserve. I think both of them were Federal Reserves. They were both like parks, like national parks, state parks, county parks. But man, parks are the place for the no man's land jurisdiction. If it's a national park, then it's the FBI, or I believe that the National Parks Association has like their own little branch of FBI, but they usually have help from the FBI, basically. So yeah, one of the reasons why I bring up the Gabby Petito is because there's so much mystery around the other 2 women that passed away that were unalived by gunfire at their campsite right outside of Moab 2 days after the domestic violence call that was infamously videotaped and shown all over the tube. The body cam footage of the police really fumbling the case with Gabby and Brian, and then, you know, calling Gabby the aggressor and Brian the victim, and then putting him up at the domestic violence, not a shelter, it was a motel, but they paid for it with domestic violence funds. I mean, that was such crap. And then Crystal and Kylan disappearing and then being found deceased, and the likelihood of Crystal and Gabby having hung out in front of the Moonflower for many, many hours that day when Gabby was working on her computer and Crystal was selling produce at the food co-op. And that was like hours and hours and hours. And I think the story was that while Gabby was working on her laptop, Brian kept hassling her, saying, let's go for a hike. And she was like, okay, let me just finish up. And it was just like this back and forth that went on all day. And then it culminated in that domestic violence call with him getting in her van, locking her out, hanging her backpack on the back, hitting her in the street, 2 people calling, saying that they saw a man hitting a woman. And, you know, they both had scratches on them. But for all we know, that douchebag Laundry scratched himself up when the cops were behind him and he was pulling over, for all we know. I mean, he had like scratches on his arm. He could have easily done that. Easily. So, and Gabby also had scratches. But, you know, there's still the question of, is he really not alive anymore? Or did he just disappear himself with his parents' help? With Steve Bertolini's help, that whack job attorney that they retained immediately after Brian called them from, what state was it where Grand Tetons is that Wyoming? Because they went north of Utah. I think that's Wyoming. Yeah. So yeah, Brian calls his parents. They have a 50-minute conversation, and that was like, I think, the same day that they think that poor Gabby Petito's life was snuffed out. And then like a minute later, they get on the phone with their attorney in Long Island, and they wire transferred $20,000 either to him or to an attorney there in Wyoming that Steve Bertolini hooked them up with. But they paid $20,000 to an attorney same day. And again, with people with that kind of resources, you know, they just have $20,000, like a minute. It takes them a minute to get their hands on the money, the liquid assets. Those are the same people that are going to have the ability to disappear and go to another country and purchase bones off the dark web. And, you know, if you Google like how to disappear, it is really easy these days. I think the logistics of doing it are fairly easy. The not easy part is the being not you for the rest of your life, right? Trying to assume a new identity. That can be very tricky. That can, people underestimate how hard that's going to be. So I hope he's having fun with that, if he is indeed doing that. And I think he is. And I think he'll get discovered someday. But anyway, why was I rambling on about Gabby? Because I think he might have gone on a unaliving spree on his drive from Florida to Florida from Wyoming. I think he might have. I wonder. I haven't really looked into it much. I know that there were some unsolved unalivings in other state parks that would coincide with the timing, and maybe I'll look into that. You know, a few months ago was when I was like, maybe I'll just look into all the little E victims, because it just seemed like something that was going to be very relevant. And I'm so glad I did. I did a ton of deep diving on all that. And the victims really deserve to be heard. And if Ghislaine gets pardoned, which I really do believe she will, but I don't think it's going to go so well. I think it's going to like completely backfire. I don't think it'll play out well in the court of public opinion. But if she gets pardoned, that's going to be a devastating blow for all the victims that testified against her. And is she and her dirtbag attorney going to then prosecute them for having prosecuted her? It sounds like he's threatened that. Anyway, my dear, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Yeah, poor Gabby. Yes, I have always agreed with you about those two girls were unalived by Brian. And also, Anna Bees, didn't SF Investigates go to try to help find Gabby? And that was like the year before Kylie Rodney. It kind of seems like Red Flag Ronnie had went to try to help find Gabby too. Am I like completely making that up? I'm thinking Red Flag Ronnie and SF Investigates both went to Wyoming to try to help find the missing Gabby Petito. I think he could have. I think he did. Yeah. Yeah. And I always have my little Gabby Petito pumpkin. That's one of my favorite photos of hers when she's got the pumpkin. It's also the last photo of her that was posted. And so what she disappeared or was red rummed, I think around August 26th, give or take a day, I think, of 2021. And then didn't Brian post, I don't know if it was Facebook or other social media, but he posted the pumpkin picture. I think he posted it in September. And it said like have a happy Halloween or something, a spooky Halloween. And it was really early for Halloween, which we all know is the last day of October. So even if it was early September, it's like most people aren't thinking about Halloween. But what's really creepy about it is that I think it was posted after she was already passed away. But I've told the story about this pumpkin. My sister, who lives in Florida, not too far from Northport, bought this little crocheted or knit pumpkin at a thrift store there. So I don't think it's the same one as Gabby's. I think Gabby's was a little bit smaller, but it very well could be made by the same artist. I don't know. I think it's adorable. She's adorable. And that picture of her with the pumpkin is adorable. She's very photogenic. And I think that Brian was just so worried about her becoming like an internet sensation, and then all of the people commenting. I mean, she wasn't really doing much internet stuff yet. She worked on that first video when he flew to Florida, and she stayed in the hotel room for 6 days right up until she passed away. And then she put that cool video together. But I would imagine that he was anticipating a lot of people saying like, "Why are you with that loser?" Right? Come here, baby. Come here. Come here, silly girl. There's the silly puppy dog. Do you see how her legs are kind of like bell bottoms with the fur? And she does look a lot like an orangutan. She's so funny. We have these wood stairs in our house. And when she goes up the stairs, the fur on her paws is so long that she like slips and falls. And so I pick her up and carry her when we're going up the stairs. But then coming down the stairs, she just flies like she's skiing. Like you don't even have to worry about her. It's so funny. Anyway, show that cute little face. That cute little Lorax face. Come here, baby. Come here, little boo-boo bear. Cuckoo. Go. Okay, we're wrapping up. And bees, thanks so much for being here. Yeah, I love that I have the pumpkin. And you said that too. I love that you have that pumpkin. I couldn't believe that my sister gave it to me. As soon as I saw it, I was so jealous. I was like, oh my God, I love that pumpkin. And she was just like, oh, you can have it. And I was like, what? She was so beautiful, and so was Kylie. Yeah, they were both such like angelic, kind of tender souls, kind of goofy, very creative and artistic. they were both extremely unique. They both were very accomplished in their skills at very young ages. I mean, I don't know if you know, Anna, some of the artwork that Gabby Petito did. I remember a pair of jeans that she sold on Poshmark where she painted on the pocket of the jeans um, Van Gogh's Starry Night on the pocket. It was very cool. She was making a lot of money on Poshmark during their road trip. I think before the road trip too. I think she made like $1,000 selling her clothes. But she was extremely artistic. Her parents have talked about that in some of their interviews. And of course, we all know that Kylie was a freaking genius with the music. And then Gabby Petito, excuse me, she was also in that movie or a documentary about school shootings. You know, that photograph of I'm Irreplaceable. And she's so cute. She's like 11 years old with her silly glasses. And she's just like protesting, basically. She's got like a poster board that says I'm Irreplaceable on it with like a black Sharpie. So yeah, she looks like a protester. So I really feel like our president is just like trying to run and hide from all of this stuff, you know, like trying to have Congress go on a 6-week vacation. I mean, I would imagine that most of the people serving in the government are happy to have the vacation time, but probably some of them are very frustrated too and would rather get some things done. But yeah, I mean, they usually take probably the whole month of August off, like 4 weeks. I think they usually take like a 2-week vacation around the 4th of July. They usually take at least 2 weeks, if not an entire month off around the holidays. That's a lot of vacation time. That's like British people. They have 6 weeks mandatory paid vacation if you're British. They think we're crazy in America to have like no paid vacation time or like 1 week or 2 weeks if you're lucky. They're just like 6 weeks, man. We go on holiday. We go on 6-week holiday or die. Right? Anyway, I'm just rambling now, so we'll go ahead and wrap up, my dear. I believe you. Oh, you're so cute. Anna B says, I love her, talking about the puppy dog. She reminds me of a Wookiee. You are exactly accurate in that. See, I'm not such a Star Wars fan, so I didn't make that connection, but you are totally on it. I still think Brian could have been a lot older and he didn't pass away. I really think that your theory of him being older is probably accurate. I actually had a friend in college in Olympia, Washington, who got together with her boyfriend when she was like 16, and he was a lot older. I think he was like 31 when they got together. But he always lied about his age. So when I met them, she was probably 19 and he was, I want to say he was like 36, 37. But I knew them for a couple of years, so that might have been by the time she was like 21. But I think I saw his driver's license and it said that he was 37 and he'd always lied about his age. And I was really creeped out. You know, I was in my early 20s. I was in college, undergrad. But yeah, they got together when she was 16. And I always wondered if she knew his age or if she didn't care. I'm sure her parents cared a lot. But that's the only person, the only guy that I know like that. And that guy does remind me a lot of Brian. And I've never thought about that parallel. So thanks for helping me make that connection, Annabise. It's so cool, just me and you having our little conversation here. Oh, how cool. I didn't know that. Oh, the pants with the Van Gogh. Isn't it Van Gogh who did Starry Night? I love Starry Night, but my brain is just kind of dead right now. I think that's a Van Gogh. I know he did the irises. He's the guy who cut off his ear for the prostitute. I totally understand, though. I mean, it makes sense. It really does. that for him, seeing her turn tricks, have that lifestyle, was like cutting his ear off. So what, I think he gifted her the ear, didn't he? Like, I mean, yeah, he was crazy, but again, it makes sense in a really crazy, twisted, disgusting, romantic kind of way. Let's see. Starry Night artwork. And yeah, Vincent Van Gogh. Isn't that who I said? Yeah, Van Gogh. Because yeah, he did the irises, he did the haystack, he did a lot of cool stuff. You know, I mean, I know I keep saying I'm gonna sign off, and I am, but the YouTuber that calls himself True Crime Rocket Science, his first name is Nick. I'm not sure his last name, but he writes books too. So many people write books these days, but I think they probably do it voice to text, so it's probably a lot easier than sitting there at a typewriter. Anyway, he's written some books about Vincent Van Gogh, and that maybe it was a red rum, but I haven't looked into it. I just know that he's got a bunch of videos about it too. So I think it's fascinating. And yeah, the man had a very interesting life. And I've gotten to see some Van Goghs in person at like the J. Paul Getty Museum in Los Angeles. They've got some Van Goghs. Probably saw some in Seattle. I don't know if I've seen any at the Dayton Art Institute, maybe. Anyway, I am wrapping up. I am, I promise. So, that makes me want to cry. I didn't know that about Gabby being in the video. Oh, sweetie, I've used that in at least one of my thumbnails, but I've got like 1,000 videos. But I don't know. Maybe I'll use it for today's video, since the source of the one that I have there now of Trumpster Fire with the 5 doppelgangers that look like they're 15 years old might be a questionable source. Maybe I'll use the Gabby Petito one just for you, so that you don't have to search through the 1,000 videos to find it. Although I'm sure you can find it with a Google too. But I mean, you know, it's not just about school shootings. To me, it's about freaking domestic violence, because that is what we're dealing with a lot of this stuff, with the little E stuff, with the Donnie stuff. You know, I've always wondered about the ex-boyfriends in Kylie Rodney's case and in the Idaho 4 case. I still have questions with both of those. But yeah, domestic violence is, I think that I'm irreplaceable, to me, is like a domestic violence message too. I wish we had 6 weeks off a year. I know. The British, they got it going on, man. They know where it's at, but then they have to deal with the whole royal family crap too. Talk about cover-ups, right? I listened to anyone on Brian. I haven't listened to anyone on Brian Koberger. Me neither. I have no patience for any of the shenanigans. Like, none of it. I've just been completely ignoring it. Yes, Van Gogh. Yes, that's the story about the ear. I saw the lilies at our art museum. The lilies are, oh yeah. I was going to say the irises, because yeah, the lilies are phenomenal too. Yeah. I've had prints of those in the past. I love the lilies and like the Japanese tea garden stuff. The lilies are amazing. Thank you for reminding me of that series. Oh, you're so sweet. Yes, little T is a domestic abuser. Well, the whole thing about when he assaulted Ivana and then threatened her, you know, he violated her. He made her retract those statements. And it wasn't just in her book, it was also in a deposition. So what? She lied in the deposition? I don't think so. And then I think that's what it was indirectly, maybe at the end as well. I have questions. I have a lot of questions. And I'm going to look at and see what that other lawsuit that he did something crazy the night before to get the deposition canceled the next day. Because I was listening to a legal AF video that was fresh, hot off the press today that talked about it. And I was like, my ears popped up and I was going to try to figure out which case it was before I came on. But I was like, no, I need to get going with this video because it's so late at night. What time is it now? It's almost 11 o'clock. So peace out. Oh, shoot. The lilies was Monet. Oh, you are correct. See how late it is? Good job. Nice catch. Nice catch. That's hilarious. So now I'm thinking Purple Iris is Monet too, but no, I don't think it's late. For Georgia O'Keeffe, I was gonna say Virginia O'Keeffe, Virginia Roberts, Virginia Giuffre, Georgia O'Keeffe. Let's just do loose association, free association, right? We're getting to that time of the night. We're about to turn into the pumpkin, the crocheted pumpkin. Oh no. With Ivana and our country, Anna Bees, what a great, brilliant point you're making about, yeah, Donnie and all of this Project 2025 Handmaid's Tales type of crap is totally like domestic violence towards the whole country. Like they're trying to make it so that women cannot charge anybody for assault. Like that's like a new one that is probably getting passed through Congress right now as we speak. Seriously, like crazy shit. While we're all trying to figure out the deal with Epstein, we know the deal with little E. We know the deal. It's just, the proof. Where's the proof when everybody's been rubbed out, right? MC3PO, there you are. Hey, I'm just trailing off. Trying anyway. Come here, baby. I can let the dogs out. Who let the dogs out? Who? All right. The SAVE Act already passed. Is that where women can't charge anybody for any kind of violence? The beginning of the end of women's rights to vote. Yeah, I know that too. Well, yeah. Like, let's go back to the 50s, man. Let's all be Stepford wives, right? So, I mean, that was what was so big about the Roaring 20s, wasn't it? 1920 with women's suffrage. Anyway, rather than just keep free associating, I will sign off and say goodnight. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. It's effed up. And hopefully Donnie is bringing himself to a head. He's really hanging himself. He can't stop, won't stop, because that's just who he is and what he is. So I think he's doing himself in, and for that we can thank him. So thanks so much for being here, you guys. Love and light. Have a really good night, and drink your water, eat your protein, eat your veggies. Peace out, and see you soon. Much appreciation, my dears. Wait, what does this one say? I want to say not yet. Part and parcel of Project 2025 and as prescribed. I know. It's a freaking nightmare. No Handmaid's Tale for me. Thank you very much. All right.